Let's take a look at the Punjabi Chamber of Commerce, which continues to empower the Indian Punjabi diaspora through commerce and cooperation. The nonprofit is dedicated to offering a platform for Indian Punjabi businesses and professionals through education, networking, and advocacy. On that, the Chamber recently hosted an online session, a webinar on restaurants and COVID, Annihilation and Hope, focused on the issues of restaurants nationwide due to COVID-19. Featuring a panel of experts, the event brought together popular Punjabi restaurateurs discussing the impact of coronavirus on the food industry as a whole and measures restaurants have had to take to stay afloat. Highlighting the philanthropic services of restaurants nationwide during COVID-19 relief, the panelists also reflected upon the need for communication, collaboration, and change in the industry to truly get through the crisis. Some also discussed the opportunities COVID-19 has provided businesses through takeout and delivery services with innovative ideas and practices. The event saw celebrity chef and author Chef Maneet Chauhan along with several leaders of the Indian food industry. Here's a segment of the webinar on staying afloat during the coronavirus pandemic.
We are obviously in the business of food, but some of us are also personalities, right? We are brands in our own selves. Maneet for sure is one. Vikas Khanna, who happens to be from our college, Maneet, he has done a fabulous job from his apartment in Manhattan. I met him a few weeks ago when he was there. I was like, what are you doing? He's in a tiny apartment in Manhattan and he's sitting there and everything doing on phone. One day he mistakenly sent me a message, Kunal, 20 kilo rice, not there here. I was like, who's this? There was another Kunal he was dealing with in India, apparently. And he saw an opportunity there to make his brand as a philanthropist. I don't know if he's eyeing Padma Shri or Padma Bhushan, but that is going that way. That is Chef Jose Andreas. You might have heard about his World Central Kitchen. He's doing a tremendous job. And I think in all of us in our own way have donated meals. Kamal and Rajesh, Kamal first. Have you done anything in philanthropy wise, donation wise, which you have felt good about? Now I have time to think about charity because now I don't have much to do in catering.
This was a situation where part of it is you need help because our company is huge. Like I have more than 200 employees. These are full-time employees I'm talking about between all the 10 locations and the catering size, and having 50% of revenue getting shot because what happens the first quarter of every year, because of the weather conditions in New York, New Jersey, tri-state area, anyways, it's bad for catering business. Even the dining business falls down. People don't want to go out. They're not that adventurous, especially like our Indian community. Because my clientele is all 95% we cater to our own community, Indians. People are skeptical. If they see there's going to be rain, nobody wants to go out. So given that we were already struggling, as we struggle every year, as a smart businessman, you take into account those first 3 months because you know you're not going to make any money. You still have rents to pay. You still have payroll to pay. So you start saving from the last quarter of the previous year. We were recovering from that, and end of March, boom, pandemic happened. My first and the foremost objective of that thing was to first of all make sure all my staff and their families are good, because as much as I personally am connected to the company or my restaurants are connected to the community, I am connected to my staff. For me, those are my immediate world. And as we all know, we all are restaurateurs who are not everyone belongs to the same socio-economic background, right? There is a server, or there is a dishwasher in the back, or there is a third helper in the kitchen whose job is just to do the cutting, chopping and all, who's barely surviving on like minimum wages, does have family too. He has his own kids to go and feed. He has his own rent to pay. So a part of my charity happened within the company. That was my first step.
Kamal, I'm going to take this to Rajesh. I just got this message from Sachin Shah. He's one of our members, and he also runs this Blackthorn pub in New Brunswick. That's not an Indian restaurant, happens to be run by an Indian. It's a pub. Most of us know that. He's saying during these tough times, 30% of the restaurants might be wiped out. That's also an opportunity for others, 70%. It's a malicious way of looking at it, I guess, but then that is the reality.
I live in New Jersey, so I'm in the suburbs. So when this thing has happened, work from home, So all the people who were in the city have moved out of the city and gone back to the respective states or areas where they were, and they're not coming out, so they're working at home. So all the neighborhood places which have opened outside, I'm saying New York, are doing expectantly well, and they're actually doing better numbers. I asked few of them, and they were doing better numbers now after the pandemic than they were doing before. So that's an opportunity for them, right? Because all the people who are not there are now centralized there. Density has increased, and people are not going to the city as much. They're there. I mean, I've been talking to some of the big tenants like, Tishman Spires. They wanted to take a location, and they're telling me, and they are telling me themselves, the Rocks, for example, Rock Center is at 12% occupancy. And after September, they expect it to only go up by 10%. Now imagine if 25% occupancy is there, how are you going to have the footfall which people were so used to in New York? I mean, that's why you see all the big time. Thomas Keller has closed. Today I was reading Arc Restaurant, which have 20 restaurants, big ticket. They have this Bryant Park Grill and Cafe. It does about 28 million a year, $80,000 a day sales, approximately, down to 10,000. They can only use a patio. And he's out of his 5 operations, 3 is shut, 2 are open. And he's today said absolutely that I am not even thinking of opening any more restaurant in New York City because the opportunity lies outside. Where now my numbers in Florida, where the pandemic is even worse than New York, which is controlled, he said the numbers in Florida are much better than what I do in New York with much lesser cost of operations. So unless New York City something does dramatically, to help people, like landlords have not budged that much, maybe giving 2 months here, 3 months here, or 50%. I don't think that's going to be enough to sustain on a longer run, So that's the biggest problem of New York City.
Food and design innovation, keeping businesses aside, do you think these are breeding grounds for innovation? We'll start with Maneet, of course. Maneet?
Absolutely. I think, desperation calls for the most innovative of all solutions. And we've always seen that over the years. At times, some of these things go overboard. To me, especially that photograph.
Like that picture on the right
people,
side.
Yes, I'm like, come on. Who would want to go out and dine that way, right? But it has had people start thinking on a lot of different levels, right? And the most interesting part is that each and every person contributes, right? It's interesting, like the examples which I can give you the best is what we are doing, because we are so. That's what's happening in front of me. Starting right from the kitchens, where the entire kitchen is working on menus on how to increase the, the cover per person. Like, how would people be inspired to spend more money when they come in? Because let's face it, not everybody is comfortable coming out, right? We are having people coming in, but right now we are operating at 50% occupancy, right? And that is the mandate, and it closes at 10 o'clock, means we know that we have to stop seating people at 8:30. So we have got a smaller window to serve people. So that is absolutely, innovation is even how we've set up the entire restaurant to serve people so that there is 6 feet, in between. And again, I keep on coming back to the fact that in Nashville, we do have the luxury of space. I mean, if I was in New York, I don't know how innovation, maybe you needed those upside down, overly crazy champagne, upside down champagne glasses to keep apart. But the one thing in terms of innovation, what we've done, which has been really interesting, is I used to be out traveling all the time, giving demos and doing cooking classes and stuff. What we've started doing is now we go ahead and ship those kits to people, and I get onto Zoom with somebody who knows technology a little bit better than me, and we just go ahead and do the cooking class together. And in the end of the day, people are cooking, they are doing something, because what people are missing the most is the experience, experience of anything, be it cooking, be it sewing or anything. And that's something that we have offered. So I do think that in terms of innovation, that has been a fun thing that we've come up with.